Hello. How are you? Good? I'm fine too, if you are worried. My name is Shu Murakami and I am a stand-up comedian from Japan. Oh, thank you. And do I meet your stereotype of people from Japan? If ever so, it is totally wrong that we don't speak English at all. Oh, you guys are like, oh, thank God. Yes, we do speak English. The thing is, we never realize that we're speaking English. Because this is the proper English accent that we learn in school in Japan. As for me, I was a really bad kid and hardly went to school. That's why my English is better than others. I know some of you are confused, because now I look like a kid. Japanese people look really young, which is pretty good, right? Come on, girls. I'm available. I'm almost 30 years old, so don't worry, you're not going to be a pedophile. It's legal. I know. Canadian girls don't give a shit about a short Asian guy. But if you must know, I was very tall in Japan. People often ask me this question, hey Shu, where'd you get that accent? In Japan, I learned English listening to music, you know what I'm saying? Because English we learn in Japan is really unpractical. For example, at the beginning of every English class in elementary school, a Japanese English teacher asks students, "How are you today?" And students all together answer, "Fine, thank you, and you?" And that's the only response that we learn in Japan. Last month, a friend of mine visited me from Tokyo, and on the second day he gets a terrible stomach flu. So I take him to a hospital where a doctor asks him, "Hey, how are you?" He reflectively answered, "Fine, thank you, and you?" And puked on the doctor. A couple of days later, he gets better, and he comes to my comedy show in Montreal. After the show, he says, "Shu, I had no idea what you were saying, but at least I could tell that your English was so good." The show was in French. Yeah, Japanese people are really unique because of their unique culture. Are any of you interested in Japanese culture at all? Oh, well, thank you. But you gotta be a little bit careful, because when a person from outside Japan gets really into Japanese culture, she or he could go a little wrong and be way more Japanese than real Japanese. Recently, I met this Canadian guy at a bar. He's really into Japanese culture, and he speaks so fluent Japanese. He goes like, "Watashi wa setsunaku na jinsei wo kyou shimasu." He uses very difficult Japanese words that I've never heard of. He really wants to become Japanese, so he got a tattoo of a Japanese word on his right arm, Yamato Damashi, which means Japanese spirit. And I'm like, if you ever want to become Japanese, remove tattoos. Because in Japan, we don't call it tattoo, we call it taboo. To move to Japan one day, he learns karate, tea ceremony, and Zen Buddhism, none of which I ever learned. I'm like, yo, just stop smoking weed and you're ready to go. Because when he's high, he's an asshole. He says, "Oh, you Japanese guys have small dicks." And I'm like, "Oh, is that right? And how'd you know? Did you try yet? Or if not, don't tell me your preference for porn." Representing Japan, I must say that he's totally wrong. Because in Japan, we don't call it small dick. We call it dick. However, I want you all to imagine that a short Japanese guy moved to Canada all alone, knowing no one, just to challenge himself as a stand-up comedian. And after 3 months, he's on this big stage right here. So, at least, he's got huge balls. And that's me, Murakami. It's been a pleasure.